done. You're under arrest. We're
A
done.
nurse cuffed and arrested for denying a police officer a blood sample from her patient.
In Beaumont, Texas, water and food are scarce, but hope is still in abundance.
Oh, I thank the Lord. He's awesome. Yes, Lord.
Outrage after this video of a nurse arrested was made public.
So the nurse refused to draw blood on an unconscious patient, the victim of a fiery car crash.
Now, this story has a lot of people talking across the nation online, outraged at, by the way, this officer handled this situation. Now, take a closer look at the moments leading up to the arrest. You can see the nurse, Alex Woobles, explaining to a Salt Lake City police officer why she legally could not let him take a blood sample from an unconscious patient. He didn't have a warrant, the patient didn't give consent, and the patient was not under arrest. Take a look at what happens when she calls her boss and he backs up what she's saying.
Yeah, but sir, you're making a huge mistake right now.
Okay. No, we're done. We're done. You're under arrest. We're going. We're done.
Sir,
We're done. I said we're done.
You're insulting me! Stop! This is crazy! So, please, sir, you're hurting me!
Then walk.
Now, police wanted the patient's blood, who was, again, not a victim, not a suspect in a car crash. The person was unconscious and not suspected of doing anything wrong. However, police still wanted his blood. According to the Salt Lake Tribune, Detective Jeff Payne was told by his commander to make the arrest if the nurse refused to let him get the blood sample. Woobles was released shortly after and never charged. She says she feels betrayed for following hospital protocol.
Blood is your blood. That's your property. And when a patient comes in a critical state, that blood is extremely important. So I don't take it lightly.
Now, Detective Payne was suspended from the police department's blood draw program, and he is still on duty. And Alex, the video just makes you say and look and how does this happen? What the heck went wrong?
Yeah, whatever it is, it doesn't look good. I mean, from what most people saw when they looked at that video, they saw a woman who was simply doing her job,
Doing
right?
her job.
So Chief Mike Brown tweeted this statement. He said he was alarmed by what he saw in the video and that they apologized for the incident and promised to find a solution. Well, that wasn't enough for people on social media who are genuinely outraged. Shame on the police department, Sean King said. She was following policy to protect her patient. Verna thanks heaven she wasn't black. Someone else points out the other cops look like they knew it was wrong but did nothing. She thinks they're just as guilty. Mara says we don't talk about how nurses put their lives on the line enough, and that ought to change. She also thinks this quote-unquote police state should too. And Jennifer, with what a lot of people are probably thinking right now, the hospital should be extremely proud of the integrity of this nurse. Now, Reg, the mayor of Salt Lake City said that there's an internal affairs investigation going on right now, and also the Civilian Review Board is also investigating.
And just to be clear, just to make sure that everybody understands, she was legally correct. The hospital policy was correct. And we're going to keep close tabs on this investigation. Thank you, Alex.
So a lot of you might be wondering, could something like this happen here? So I did some digging, and the answer is yes. The same applies right here in Florida, as Reg just mentioned. You must have a warrant or probable cause to draw blood. End of story here. Florida Statute 316.1933 says a police officer can force a blood draw if the officer has probable cause to believe the person was under the influence of alcoholic beverages, any chemical substances, or any controlled substances that cause the death or serious bodily injury of a human being. The same applies for boating. Also, officers must use reasonable force to take the blood, if the driver refuses to consent.
Some stubborn storms out there this afternoon, so I want to jump in here real fast and give you a quick weather update. A lot of showers and storms popping up this afternoon and slowly trying at least to drift off towards the north. But I want to take you in here to northern Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, and a couple of good storms up in Hernando County. It's down here in northern Pinellas County, right near McMullen Booth Road and Tampa Road, the Boot Ranch neighborhood, that area. There's about 1,000 people without power in that area, and actually a little bit more than that right now from that storm right there. Nearly stationary for almost an hour. 2 to 3 inches of rainfall has fallen, and a couple of other of these are trying to do the same thing. Now this one is backing down towards the bridges. This one will fall apart. Give it another 15 minutes or so, which means more lightning, more heavy rainfall, but it will start to fall apart. We've got more storms for this evening, then they'll fall apart. Then we have Labor Day weekend, and unfortunately we're going to have to deal with some of that. I'll have that in the forecast and the latest on Irma when we come back.
One of the most profound things that we have observed in the aftermath of this horrific, devastating storm has been both the resiliency and the way that Texans have been united.
An outpouring of love and support in the days following Hurricane Harvey. Now this afternoon, an estimated 156,000 homes have been destroyed. Millions of donations are coming in from around the nation to help families get back on their feet. The roads and businesses are finally starting to open once again, and more people are headed back to what's left of their home and lives. The floodwater is slowly, ever so slowly, receding, but in some area of the city, officials are asking families to leave their homes as crews release water from overflowing reservoirs. Now, there are plenty of dangers of coming back into these flooded homes, and this is one of them. Take a look. That's right. That is a huge gator that is hanging out under somebody's table in their home. Deputies are moving it back ever so closely and carefully to its natural habitat.
And some more of our local service members headed out this morning to make the trip over to places hard hit by Harvey. All right, so take a look. You can see their bags were laying on the grass, all packed up and ready to go this morning. So this is outside the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve Center on Gandy Boulevard in Tampa. The group is being deployed to help assist with agencies in Texas. There are already several Marines from Tampa in Houston helping out. These two local paramedics are also heading to Texas. They're from Polk County Fire Rescue. They are on their way to help the rescue and recovery efforts. They will serve for the next 2 weeks. And if you would like to help by donating, you can donate to the American Red Cross Hurricane Harvey Disaster Relief Fund. We've made it really easy for you. Visit WTSP.com/Texas Cares, or you can click on Texas Cares in our 10 News app. With your help, we have already raised more than $2 million. So again, thank you to everyone who donated.
The night before one of the biggest games in college football, FSU versus Alabama, news comes out of an academic scandal with FSU's 2013 national championship team, and the subject of a Big Ten investigation is now caught up in the middle of this latest report. And we have team coverage tonight with investigative reporter Noah Pransky and sports anchor Ryan Bass. And guys, FSU is denying any academic wrongdoing.
That's right, Reg. The New York Times is reporting that FSU investigated a claim back in 2013 that a number of FSU football players from that national title team that you referenced, Reg, received academic favoritism. A teaching assistant claimed that she felt pressured into giving them special treatment.
And the professor in the center of it all, who allegedly pressured her, has been in ethical crosshairs before, Ryan. In April, we showed how he was gaming numbers and inflating economic impact when analyzing whether certain Florida cities should be spending tax dollars on new stadiums. And even though he passed himself off frequently as an economist, he's actually a professor in the hospitality school. You're introduced as an economist. Are you an economist?
I'm a PhD in resource development.
Why do you think economists take such issue with your work?
Well, I have a lot of economics classes. I mean, it's basically a fine line.
Ryan, it's not really a fine line. FSU investigated the accusations from 2013 back then. We didn't know about it, but they say now that they've made changes to the hospitality classes Bond was teaching He is still a professor at FSU today, and he did not respond to comment once again to our questions.
This is one of his former students too, and you might know the name James Wilder. It should ring a bell. He played for the Bucks back in the 80s. Well, this is his son, Noah, James Wilder Jr., and he was a central figure in that New York Times report. Now, the story claims Wilder Jr. was getting a D in one of his courses, and the professor emailed a teaching assistant asking her to work with him, referring to Wilder as a, quote, star running back. Wilder won a state championship here at Plant High School before playing for the Seminoles. The professor urged her to allow Wilder and other players to make up past assignments or submit missing portions of work that had already been graded. Now, the story also claims players plagiarized. FSU's president John Thrasher responded in a statement today to Tallahassee.com, saying FSU retained a leading law firm to conduct an independent investigation of the course in question. And after a thorough examination of the facts, no NCAA violations were found. Reg, we've seen academic scandals in NCAA sports before. UNC comes to mind.
Right.
We'll see if the NCAA actually does its own internal investigation here, which of course could mean wins stripped from the program and also potentially the national championship. Of course, that would be very, very far of an extent of a punishment, but still certainly something on the table.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
President Trump expected to end the Dreamers program. President Trump is planning to get rid of a program that protects children of undocumented immigrants. In 2012, President Obama implemented the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA, through an executive order. All right, so there is this speculation that President Trump could announce he's ending the program on Monday. Republican House Speaker Paul Ryan says he doesn't think Trump should end DACA. He says it's something Congress has to fix. We talked to an advocacy group for people protected by DACA known as Dreamers. That group says they're on edge.
There's a very noticeable uneasiness, fear, nervousness within our communities because Dreamers were told they would be okay. Dreamers were told not to worry, and everything's been the opposite of that.
And there are about 800,000 undocumented immigrants who've been spared deportation through DACA. President Trump's official decision is expected before September 5th, and that's when 10 states say they'll file a lawsuit against the program if he doesn't reverse it.
I have not been all up in your business as usual today because I was a little busy today.
Yeah.
But what's the first thing I asked you when I walked in?
What's Irma doing? Where's she gonna be?
Exactly.
Little bit of a good news today as
Right.
some of the miles are trending a little further east, which means staying offshore the east coast of Florida. But it's a week and a half out. It's just so far
And we got
out
some
there.
rain coming for the
We do.
holiday weekend?
I'm going to start there because we actually have some pretty good storms here. So let's come over the radar, guys. Especially northern Pinellas County. It's still raining in Boot Ranch and in almost up towards the Innisbrook area on US 19, but most of it's right there on McMullen Booth Road. Still some pretty good storms in Hernando County. Most of it's drifting to the north, but this storm that moved out of Manatee County into parts of southern Hillsborough near Sun City Center, the parish area, that's a good one as well too. So that's the one that I'm concerned about because it's still going. I think another maybe 10 to 15 minutes. I know I just said that, but it is showing some signs of building southward. Watch what happens to this one. You see how it builds off to the southwest? That was the indication that it was going to stop raining in Lake Magdalene and Carrollwood areas, which is very heavy. But now that's back down towards the Courtney Campbell Causeway. This one will get up, well, it is right on I-75 right now over Ruskin, right over the National Weather Service radar, as a matter of fact. But this one into Pinellas County was putting down about, what, 2.5, 3 inches of rainfall. The one in southeast Pasco, near the Wesley Chapel area, good 3 inches of rain estimated there, just east of I-75. That has about 1,200 people without power at this time. I was just checking in with Duke. So yeah, there's going to be some issues. That's because of the stationary storm and the frequent lightning likely did some damage there. Now, there is a little bit of an outflow boundary that's headed into Polk County and Hardy, DeSoto, Highlands County. Haven't seen a lot of rain here yet, except for Sebring area, but as this moves up and this boundary moves in, I think east of Wauchula we will see a few more storms to develop, and mainly quiet for the beaches of Manatee and Sarasota County. But the rain chance is coming, I think, later tonight, but well after sunset, so not an issue there. 90 in St. Pete, 90 in Riverview, but Carrollwood, Lando Lakes, 75, 77 degrees with the rain that's falling right now. Same thing in obviously northern Pinellas County. So those showers will tend to fall apart this evening. This is about 8:30, and then we'll calm things back down. But this is 1:30 in the morning. I think the rain comes back. There'll be some showers offshore. That will try and push on shore overnight while you're sleeping. That's 8 a.m. to start off your Labor Day weekend. You can see it's mainly dry, but it's still a few showers, especially further south towards Fort Myers. But both Saturday and Sunday, Saturday more so, when we heat up, this is 2:30, watch for showers and storms to develop. You see them developing and pushing inland. So the afternoons will certainly have a little bit more rain around, a good 50 to 60% on Saturday. There's Sunday. I think rain chance will go down to about 40%, but certainly more clouds around as well too. So highs will generally stay in the upper 80s as we get going through the weekend, and that's into late Sunday evening. So there will be some showers in the evening hours on Sunday as well too. So 88 on Saturday, 89 on Sunday, 60 to 40% rain chance. It does dip, but not a lot. Expect a lot of clouds, but don't forget you can still get sunburned if you're taking the boat out. Morning hours will be the best time to do that. East to southwest winds around 5 to 10 knots. There's Irma, 5 o'clock numbers. It's back up to a major hurricane, 120 mile per hour winds. They brought it down earlier today, and it looks good. I mean, look at the eye on that thing. It's still 2,500 miles from us, so we don't have to worry about it over the weekend. We're tracking it for you, and we'll alert you if anything changes. The extended forecast, keeping it mainly now north of the Leeward Islands, but you see this cone here, the center, don't follow that red line as much. The center of the storm could be anywhere in this cone. Right now, the Hurricane Center is thinking that it stays just to the northeast of the islands, but that could change. And then where does it go? Well, some good news as the models are trying to trend a little bit towards a recurve. Not all of them do. But even the European, which was down here with it yesterday, does have it out here. So we'll be watching it very closely for you. It's not even next week, it's next weekend that we would have to deal with it if we had to deal with it. And I'm not too excited about it right now, but I'll be watching it for you. Enjoy that weekend. Just watch for a few extra showers each afternoon.
They're completely soaked. I mean,
They were strangers yesterday, but now they are making the 15-hour journey to Texas together.
Yes, some USF alumni have teamed up to try to help those hit hard by Hurricane Harvey. 10 News reporter Bobby Lewis back out on the road with a dedicated group of strangers riding west to help.
The road to Texas is a long one, but worth the trip for some new buddies from Tampa.
How long have you known each other?
12 hours.
12 hours.
It takes longer than that to make the journey to Houston, but the desire to help other strangers bonds these together.
I would have dropped everything to go out there and help because this is a #1 priority. So I feel like it truly is a duty. I'm excited personally because I live for this kind of stuff.
Nathan Blackburn and Omar Fuentes are riding up front with a trio of new pals in tow, speeding along with Harvey help in the trunk.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is it was devastating for me. Like I felt like, I felt the impact of seeing someone essentially lose, a big part of their lives.
Look at that, teamwork. In less than 2 days, they raised nearly $5,000 for hurricane relief. Chandler Jericho and Jasmine Russell packed 1,500 meals.
Every single morning I'm on the Stairmaster at the gym, and I've been watching the news since the storm hit, and it's just been breaking my heart watching all these families, lose everything. So when Chandler asked me, do you want to go to Texas? I was like, hands down, let's go. I want to go. I've been watching all these news. Like, let's just do whatever we possibly can.
They'll arrive this evening to do whatever they can before heading home later this weekend. Tampa strangers helping any other strangers they find.
And even if we can influence and, help out one person on this whole trip, that alone is worth it to us.
People lost everything. Why would we not go? We have the network to help you do it. Why not go?
On the road, I'm Bobby Lewis, 10 News.
Now that is cool. I love that.
I just love these guys.
Yeah.
You know,
What an
but,
adventure.
but these are our friends and neighbors and alum. Go Bulls. You know,
get that in.
I just love it. Nathan and another friend delivered 20,000 water bottles to flooding victims in Louisiana last year.
The USF alums, as you mentioned, represent the nonprofits Post 9/11 Veterans, Rebuilt Meals, and Semper Fi Project.
Now, school supply fight. You're not going to believe this. A mom pulls a gun in Walmart.